Skylanders Trap Team, better known as Skylanders Glitch Team, due to it having the most bugs and glitches compared to any other Skylander game ever. So this leads to it having a massive speedrunning community compared to any of the other games. So this leaves me wondering, if I could learn a few tips and tricks when it comes to speedrunning, how fast could I beat Skylanders Trap Team on my first attempt to speedrun? I've never speedrun any other game, I am not a speedrunner, I am not good at most of these glitches, so my goal is somewhere under 3 hours, because it takes the average person about 8 to 9 hours to beat the game, and the speedrun world record is at 48 minutes, and there's no way I'm getting close to 48 minutes. Starting right away, I will be using any villain. Typically it's going to be Bone, Chompy, and Kaos, as that's where I know the most glitches with Bone, Chompy, and Kaos is just broken. And the Skylander I'll be using a lot throughout this run is Blast Charge, due to him having a super speed glitch that I finally learned how to do. But starting right away, we'll see one of the very few glitches I actually know how to pull off successfully, and that's going to be the Swap Force double jump. That's just taking any villain, swapping to a Swap Force member only, and allows you to jump twice in the air. And I stick towards more of the backside, as that will skip the Sheep Creek boss fight and a mini cutscene, saving you several minutes. And then there is another Swap Force double jump you have to do, as the bounce pad won't be activated because you never fight Sheep Creek. And I fail this double jump way too many times for something that's really easy. But I do eventually land it. I think it's this one. Yeah, I land it here. But right after that, there's another double jump we can land, saving us a few seconds. And this one I did first try. This proves that I am not that good at Skylanders Trap Team. But skipping forward slightly, there is another double jump I can do to skip the battle arena. This just saves a few seconds, and it is kind of worth it if you know how to successfully do it. But after that double jump, we would have another double jump, skipping another tiny battle arena, just saving us a few more seconds. And with those skips, the rest of the level would be played pretty normally. There is one small thing that you can do to save time, as you don't have to push the soda off the cliff, you just have to push it out of the way for the toxic slime that Gulper will drink. But with that, the Gulper is defeated and the first level is finished. Let's go over to the second level now. And onto Know-It-All Island. This level would be played pretty normally, as I don't know many of the glitches or ways to skip this level, but we would start with getting that super speed so we can jump over this gate and sticking to the right, as it does skip one small cutscene. And we will stay in our supercharged form for a while, as it will just help us get around a lot faster. And at this point, I would switch to the Chompy just so I could have better control over Blast Charge. I would try a double jump, but since I play on Xbox 360, this jump is a lot harder than if you were to play on PS5, so I would just go over and grab another key. And with that, the rest of the level would be played pretty normally, and now it's time to fight Slobbertooth. And with these boss fights and even battle arenas that I cannot skip, I will always just play as Kaos, because he is extremely busted and can clear out enemies so insanely fast. And you want to try to stay onto his tech ability, because it does over 400 damage a hit, and it just makes things clearing out a lot easier. And if an enemy runs over it, they'll take that 400 damage and then they'll take it again and again, over and over, as long as they keep moving on it. It is just really good, and if you start to run low, use his magic ability, as that will completely fill his timer. And while I was bad at getting onto the tech one at first, the more I would play as him, the more I would land it, and now it is actually time to fight Slobbertooth. And when Slobbertooth would come at me, it only took not that long with Kaos. It took 1 and then 2, and he was instantly out. Heading over to Chompy Mountain, we would have our first ever cutscene warp. A cutscene warp is just a way to skip a good chunk of the level at the cutscene, and with Chompy Mountain, as soon as Finn goes low, we're going to pause our game, throw a trap into the portal. I prefer Bone Chompy because he can move in the air with his primary attack, and once it's finally loaded in, you just press skip, and you'll ignore majority of the level. With Chompy Mountain, we'll skip that first boss fight and skip that battle arena. But after that cutscene warp, the rest of the level would be played pretty normally, and I would use Blast Charge's super speed glitch just to get around a little bit faster. But now it's time to fight our first Doom Raider with the Chompy Mage, and this is where I go back to the good old classic Kaos spamming. Kaos is just always busted, he'll never not be busted, and he is the best choice for any Doom Raider boss fight, as he does so much damage. This round I would mess around with the Undead Elemental attack because it does the most amount of damage just to see how it worked, but after this fight, I do realize that maybe tech is just the way to stay. While the undead one does do a lot of damage, the tech one is more spammy, if that makes sense. And with my amazing hard work and effort, the Chompy Mage would eventually be defeated. And with that, we are about 21 minutes into the run, and I feel like we're making pretty great time for me never speedrunning before. But with the Chompy Mage defeated, it is now time to go on to Phoenix Sanctuary, and this is one of the few levels I have zero tips or tricks on how to actually speedrun it, so everything I did was either just the traditional way of doing it or just a slightly faster version. And what I mean slightly faster is by doing the blast zone super speed glitch, because it keeps you moving. Even during cutscenes, you'll start to move slightly forward, which can help you just get a little farther a little quicker. But our first boss fight in the Phoenix Sanctuary would be Shredknot, and I just want to show you how insanely busted the super speed glitch is, because you do 50 damage on contact to enemies, so when you're in a tech zone like Shredknot is, he goes down in seconds. But after that boss fight, we would have one small skip we could do to just get this key, as it skips that little block puzzle, just saving us a few more seconds. And after this, we do have the Chill Bill fight, but you can always just skip the Chill Bill fight. This is not like major tech. This is one of the easiest and most skippable fights in the game. But the rest of this level would just be played pretty normally, like how you play Phoenix Sanctuary all the time. And with that, let's go on to the Battle Arena to end it off. And of course, in this battle arena, I will be using Kaos, and Kaos only. He is too busted to not be using him to just get this over with as fast as we can. Because remember, this isn't about showing skill. This is just about finishing the game as fast as we can. And if I need something to make my life a lot easier, Kaos will always be that answer. And the one thing he can answer is that final fight against Cuckoo Clocker, where his tech ability takes him down in only 3 hits. This saves so much time. Please use Kaos if you're trying to speedrun and you're new to it, because if it works for me, it can also work for you. And with that, it's time to move on to Chef Zeppelin. This is another level I am not the best at speedrunning. I actually know 0 speedrunning tips for this level, so I just use Kaos whenever I needed a strength, and use the Blast Zone super speed glitch whenever I needed it. And one of those times the super speed glitch came in handy is actually going to be that bombshell fight, as the super speed glitch just allowed me to run into him a bunch, doing way too much damage and just instantly shredding his health down to 0. Even without an elemental boost, that was still extremely fast. And with that, all we have left to do in this level is finally defeat our second Doom Raider, Chef Pepperjack. And this fight would truly show us the power of Kaos, as I would have him run into that tech elemental ability. And did you see how much damage that did? That's insane. But after hard work and effort, he would eventually be defeated. And while this victory would be amazing, it does suck, because it showed that me not knowing any speedrunning tips for the previous 2 levels really does hurt my time, as the Chompy Mage fight ended at 21 minutes, and in only 2 levels we doubled our time, going up to 45 minutes. But hopefully we can make up so much time in the next 3 levels, as they all do have cutscene warps. And that first of 3 levels would be Rainfish Riviera, and this cutscene warp takes a little time to get to, so if you fail it, it does waste a lot of time, and it's as soon as you see this lighthouse, pause, place down a character. I do really recommend Bone Chompy with this one, because it's very easy to miss where you're supposed to go, and then just spam hold this primary attack down to the bottom, or to the bottom right-ish, and you'll just land here, and you will skip the entire level. That is 1 level done in 2 to 3 minutes, saving us so much time. I did fail this cutscene warp a few times, though, to be honest. And again, Monster Marsh would also have a cutscene warp. This one happens as soon as that frog jumps. Pause, place a portal in. This one is a lot easier to land, and you'll land around the ice cream fight. And if you go right, you'll trigger the ice cream fight. Don't try to trigger it, it's just a waste of time. And then you go left, you'll go to that battle arena, but because you did the cutscene warp, it actually messes with the gates and doesn't load them in properly, so you can just go blast, charge, and zoom instantly past all of them, skipping both the battle arena and the I-5 fight, making this level so much faster to beat. And with that, all we have left to do in this level is that battle arena against the Dreamcatcher. And it's just another very basic battle arena where waves of enemies come at you, so just stay on Kaos and use your tech ability to clear enemies. And luckily, this one does not have a boss fight like the one in Phoenix Sanctuary, so just using Kaos is my only advice to finish this as fast as possible. And now it's time to head over to Telescope Towers, where we have our third cutscene warp in a row, and this time it's going to be an audio cue and not a visual cue, and it's as soon as Callie says place.
Already started stealing the dreams from these scientists because this.
And with that, you just pause like normal, place a trap on the portal, and you'll fall down. This is another one where I recommend Bone Chompy if you're not that good at it like me, as he can move in the air and get you more perfectly aligned because you only have this tiny bridge to land on, and if you miss, it's an easy fail and restart, but if you don't, you'll go instantly into the Dreamcatcher boss fight. And I don't think I need to teach anyone how to beat Dreamcatcher, as she is just the easiest boss fight in all of Skylanders Trap Team. Both Pinata and Hoodsicle in her own levels are scarier than her, but with that she is defeated, and now it's time to head over to Mystic Mills. And this level would be played relatively normal, as I don't really know any skips or techniques to get through it faster. I would just use Blast Charge's super speed when I can, and when it came to fighting Crankcase, I just stayed on Kaos because his attacks can actually reach up there, meaning defeating him and the enemies are a little bit faster, as you don't have to wait for all of them to jump down, and he would be defeated in just a few seconds. And the same thing pretty much goes for the Sewer of Supreme Stink, where I don't really know that many skips besides this quick little double jump that allows you to bypass this little fight area. It just makes the level just slightly faster, but that's the only skip I truly know in this level. And just like you expected, Chaos would be used to quickly clear out the Rage Mage arena battle and his boss fight, and the same goes for Fisticuffed and his arena. But with that, it's time to head over to Wilkin Workshop, and this is one of our hardest cutscene warps. As soon as you see Flynn and Chaos pause and place down Bone Chompy, you do have to have Bone Chompy or it will not work at all. And once he spawns, hold to the bottom right and spam his primary, as his primary will shoot you forward slightly, and this will get you onto the ledge, barely. It is very easy to miss. I messed this up several times, that's why the timer jumps up a lot, and you do have to walk back until the enemies spawn. If they don't spawn, you'll just be stuck here, as there's no way for this gate to drop. But once you fight the enemies that spawn, you should be able to progress the level like normally, and now it's time to fight Dr. Crankcase. And the Crankcase fight would be pretty easy, just relying on Chaos and his tech attack, because if you saw it, it does a lot of damage to him and consecutively, and then try to always get him into the blades, as the blades will deal a lot of damage to him, and it just makes fighting him so much easier. But this fight just went on as normal, and he was defeated like every other Doom Raider. But now heading over to Time Town, we do just want to start by getting the Blast Zone super speed just so we can continue going forward while Da Vinci talks to us. It just saves a little bit of time, and just move these blocks. I struggled with it, so I just switched back to regular Blast Zone or Chaos just so I don't have the super speed the whole time. I know there's people who are able to get the blocks pushed while in super speed. I'm just not that good at controlling it yet. But with that, we're actually not going to continue the level like normal, as there's a massive skip in this level that will just let us ignore everything else from this point on. And we're not going to want to go right, we're going to actually want to go left to where that chest is, as that bounce pad is key to doing this, and we will be swapping Skylanders for the first time in this run through, as we need to use Igniter, as this glitch won't work without him. And you have to be on Igniter's combo path for this glitch to also work. And what you have to do is use the first combo, the attack with the giant slam, and when he does that giant slam in the combo, walk forward, and then you're going to have to spam it again, and it'll throw you straight into that end area where it can just be finished like normal. And with that, it's time to head to the future of Skylands. And this level would have a massive cutscene warp, but this cutscene warp takes so long that if you mess it up at the end, it really destroys your morale. But once you see that little knob, you gotta pause and somewhat kind of get it lined in the center, and then just place your trap in the portal. I recommend using Bone Chompy. It's possible without him, he just makes it slightly easier. But as soon as you get this cutscene warp activated, you want to hold forward, and you gotta wait until that moon gets out of frame. You have to wait for the moon to get out of frame, or it will not work. And then as soon as it's out of frame, you gotta start holding right, and just keep holding right until it's all the way back in frame. And once you see that smaller moon, and once that's in the center of your frame, stop holding right and start holding forward. And you gotta hold forward for about 2 to 3 seconds at max. If you go more than that, you will miss this trigger, and you're just gonna keep falling and falling and falling and falling and falling and falling for a very long time. As I said, this one takes like 2 minutes just to do, but you will save more time than it takes to actually do it. And then as soon as you get there, I like to try to dive forward just to be safe, and you'll get into this little arena area. And just switching from Bone Chompy back to Kaos, you can just easily clear out this arena, and we will just be using Kaos again for the fight against Wolfgang. And just like every single Doom Raider so far, Wolfgang would be a very easy defeat, because did you see how much damage that tech ability did to him? That was thousands, maybe tens of thousands of damage in just seconds. But with his defeat, it's time to head over to Operation Troll Rocket Steel, and again, I have no advice on how to speedrun this level. I played it as normally and just used Kaos for every fight I could, because did you see that? He just one-shot Threat Pack. Again, just keep relying on Kaos for any of these battle arenas and boss fights, and it'll make your life so much easier. And the same exact thing would go for Skylands, where I don't really have any way to speedrun this any faster. I would just rely on Kaos, because look at that, he 2-3-shot Taekwon Crow, another very easy fight, but this level would mark the end of my dream of beating this game in under 2 hours. So let's hope I can at least do this in under 3 hours like I originally planned. But with the next level being the Golden Desert, I wasn't so sure if that 3 hours was still even possible, because it is so long and there's no real major skips outside of some few small things like jumping up here to ignore the entire block puzzle and to just get this area faster, as well as using the Swap Force double jump to skip this mini puzzle area as well, but these areas only save a few seconds. And with Graveclaver's defeat at our 2 hours and 26 to 27 minute mark, that means we only have about 30 minutes to finish the last 2 levels, and these levels are long, but fortunately I have a plan for both of them. And starting with the Lair of Golden Queen, we would need to activate Blaststone's super speed as soon as we can, or else the skip is not possible. Well, you can activate it a little later to make the block pushing easier, but just having it right away will just save us a few seconds and attempts to try to do this, because it's easier in this area. And once we get this gate down, we are actually just going to keep holding down, but we want to go right instead of left like how we normally do, because when we're going right with the super speed, it does allow us to do an insane skip where we can just skip this entire section and go straight down here. And with that, we're just going to want to double jump in this area just to skip the block puzzles, and then we can do that double jump again to skip this little block puzzle area as well. And this just saves us a few seconds of time that normally would take way more time because the blocks take forever to push. But that next area in the Lair of the Golden Queen that takes forever is that bad juju fight, because after that you also have to play Sky Stones, plus there's a lot of enemies you have to defeat. But if we switch from Kaos over to Hoodsicle, we can just do a very, very simple glitch where you just walk forward with Hoodsicle and dash, and you just go through the gate, because Hoodsicle can just do that sometimes. This character is easily the most broken villain of all time, but I do switch back to Kaos so I can fight the Golden Queen. And with that Golden Queen fight, I would just rely on Kaos to deal as much damage as possible, because he is just better than every villain at this point. And I know there is a glitch that uses Enigma to despawn her turrets and despawn her to skip certain parts of her, but I didn't know how exactly worked with her. And I saw a lot of people using 2 players to do this. I don't think I saw someone with single player, so I didn't want to risk it and have to restart the entire run. I know I could have tried it out beforehand, but my goal was to go into this speedrunning sort of blind. Like, I had some knowledge, some skips I didn't know would work. I just wanted to make sure at this point to not have to restart, because it would just be faster to beat her with Kaos than to try something and not work and I have to replay the whole level. And with that, Golden Queen would be defeated at our about 2 hour and 37 minute mark, which was really good. That means we finished this level in only about 10 minutes, and with most of it being the Golden Queen fight, as also really good. And this means we have more than enough time to defeat Kaos and hopefully reach our goal of beating this game in under 3 hours. And this final level would start off pretty normally, but there would be one very massive glitch after this first area that would really help us in saving a lot of time. And that is just a simple Hoodsicle dash into the corner of this room, because once you do it, your character just starts to fall, and you'll fall for quite a while, but once you do land, you do have to quickly run over to this area and double jump up there. I know this is going backwards in the level, but the reason you have to do this is you have to hit this checkpoint to let the game that they need to load the next area. If you don't do this and go into the next area, you will just soft lock yourself and you will have to restart the level from the beginning. Thank you, random speedrunning video I watched like a few months ago, for giving me this random knowledge. And with that glitch, it would save us so much time skipping majority of the level. But don't worry, there is another very small skip right here allowing us to skip this little light puzzle. And what's interesting though is this light puzzle looks like you can jump on top of it, but if you could easily do a double jump glitch to just get up there. So what they did was put a small hitbox that you can just double jump on top of, and then you can switch and then double jump again to just ignore that entire little section. And now it's time to fight Smokescreen. And he would go down relatively easily thanks to Hoodsicle doing like 500 damage per hit, and I would just use Hoodsicle with a mix of Blast Charge because it is a fire zone to defeat all the enemies really quickly. But we can't go into the Kaos fight without doing some sort of glitch first, so we would just do another quick little Swap Force double jump just to get this area a little bit faster with. I was thinking about going over there and doing another one, but then I realized I'd most likely pick up that soul gem, wasting us a lot more time. And I would trigger the cutscene. I know there's a way to skip it, but I messed up and realized that during the cutscene. But with that, it is time to fight Kaos, and I do have a secret weapon up my sleeves, and his name is Enigma. As during the Golden Queen fight, I did talk about an Enigma glitch that you can use, but I wasn't sure about. But one place I know it does work is in that Kaos boss fight, and it's really useful for defeating him because this boss fight is way too long and way too drawn out. While it is fun, it does get exhausting when you play it so many times that you just get to the point like, I'm done, can we not? And this glitch just makes your life so much easier just to defeat Kaos in seconds. Because it's not that hard to pull off. All you have to do is be on Enigma's bottom path and get that ghost ability, and every time you go invisible and then swap to a villain, it deloads enemies. For some reason, it just deloads a bunch of things, and this will start to skip a lot of the Kaos cutscenes. Like, even though his health isn't going down much, you see it, he just keeps like switching attacks instantly and super fast, and it gets to the point where he just starts going to his next attack stages. It is such an overpowered and such a useful glitch for speedrunning. It's just insane, and it's so good. Like, if you need to do a deathless like nightmare run and you're fighting him, use Enigma for that fight scene. It will just make your life so much easier because it works so fast. And I did mess around with this after this on other bosses. It does get you soft locked, so I am only sure that it works on Kaos, but it works so well, you just gotta use it. But once again, you do see me not being good at speedrunning or any of these techs because I would mess up a lot where a lot of times I would go invisible, or I think I'd go invisible and swap, and I wasn't actually invisible, so it wouldn't deload him, or I would do it too soon so it would also not work properly, or I just do it when it wouldn't work at all. But I would eventually get it done, and we would finally defeat Kaos at 2 hours and 49 minutes, which is great because my plan was under 3 hours, and I feel proud that my first ever speedrun was this good, in my opinion. With this being my first ever time speedrunning, I am really proud with how I did, because I'm not a speedrunner. I've never speedran Skylanders Trap Team before this, and I've never speedran any game before this. So me trying to attempt all these tips and tricks and failing a lot was very humbling. But I know if I was to just keep practicing them, I could get them down way more consistently, especially the cutscene warps, the super speed glitch, and the double jumps, and that would save a lot of time, cutting it down even more than I expect. And if I was to start to learn some other tech that I know they do, I could cut it down a lot more. So if this does get enough support, maybe in a year or two I do run it back again. But if you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would like to talk to me, I do have a Discord server, link is going to be in the description. And if you want to see me do any other challenges, leave them in the comments below. I do plan on doing a challenge where I try to beat my favorite Skylander game with my least favorite Skylander to see if I was wrong about them, but you'll have to wait and see who that is and what game I play, because maybe that's next week, maybe it's not. We'll wait and see. But thanks so much for watching, and peace out and have a great day.